The storm has arrived, and the Duttons are staring straight into the eye of destruction. The Montana skies are heavy with the weight of impending doom, and the bloodshed to come will forever stain the land they fought so hard to protect. In 1923, Season 2, Episode 8, the battle for survival isn't just another conflict, it's an all-out war where the only options left are victory or annihilation. With enemies closing in from all sides, the Duttons find themselves backed into a corner like never before. Donald Whitfield, a man who thrives on power and corruption, has played his hand masterfully, twisting the law in his favor, manipulating the rich and ruthless, and delivering blow after crushing blow to weaken the family's grip on their legacy. But the Duttons are not ones to surrender. When pushed to the edge, they fight with a fury that can shake the very foundation of Montana itself. Betrayals will be exposed. Lines will be crossed. And when the dust settles, only the strongest will remain standing. The question is, will the Duttons still be among them? Spencer's return was supposed to tip the scales. But what if it's already too late? Betrayals will be exposed, revenge will be served, and when the dust settles, nothing will ever be the same again. The walls are closing in, and the Duttons know it. Jacob has been a fighter all his life, but this time, he's not just up against outlaws or cattle thieves. He's up against a man who controls the very foundation of power in Montana. Donald Whitfield isn't just looking to take their land, he's looking to crush their legacy, to wipe the Dutton name from history as if it never existed. The legal battle was never meant to be fair. And now, with judges and lawmen in his pocket, Whitfield is making his final move. He isn't coming with court orders or legal documents, he's coming with bloodshed. For Jacob, there's no room for hesitation. He's seen what happens when men like Whitfield go unchecked. The land may have been promised to the Duttons, but promises mean nothing when men with money rewrite the rules. The ranch is on high alert. Every ranch hand, every rider, they all know what's coming. And yet, the enemy isn't just out there beyond the fences. It's closer than they realize. A traitor walks among them, someone feeding information to Whitfield's men, ensuring the Duttons stay one step behind. When the truth is finally revealed, it will shake the family to its core. Meanwhile, Kara's fighting her own battle. She's been the quiet strength behind Jacob, holding this family together through heartbreak, war, and loss. But this time, she sees something she's never seen before: doubt in Jacob's eyes. He's always been the unshakable force, the leader, the man who had all the answers. But this is different. This isn't just a battle over land. It's a battle for survival. She's seen too many people buried on this ranch, and she knows deep down that not everyone will make it through this war. The letters she once wrote to Spencer were filled with hope. Now, she wonders if she should start writing goodbyes. Jack, once eager to prove himself, is starting to feel the weight of the Dutton name. It was easy to talk about legacy and honor when the battles were far away. But now, with bullets flying and bodies falling, he understands the brutal reality of being a Dutton. Elizabeth sees it too. The woman who once dreamed of a quiet life on the ranch now realizes that being a Dutton wife means living in the shadow of violence. And the worst part, there's no escape. The war is here, and if they don't fight, they die. And then there's Spencer, the prodigal son, the warrior, the man who was supposed to come home and save them all. But war changes a man. He left Montana a long time ago, and the battles he's fought since then have turned him into something else, something dangerous. He's seen death more times than he can count, and now it's following him home. He wants to protect his family. But what if the war he's bringing is even deadlier than the one they were already fighting? With the enemy at their gates and betrayal in their midst, the Duttons are out of options. The only thing left is to fight. And in this war, there are no second chances. Darkness has settled over Yellowstone, not just in the form of the looming threat outside, but within the walls of the ranch itself. The Duttons have always known danger, but they never imagined it would come from one of their own. The whispers started as rumors, easily dismissed in the chaos of war, missing supplies, strange movements near the fences, and conversations cut short when certain people walked into the room. But Jacob isn't a fool. He's seen betrayal before, and he knows the feeling of a knife just before it plunges into his back. The ranch hands are on edge. They know an attack is coming. Yet every plan they've made to defend their land seems to be anticipated. It's as if Whitfield and his men can see every move before it happens. And then one night, a late rider approaches the ranch. He isn't an enemy. He's a man who once worked for Whitfield, but even he has his limits. The atrocities he's seen, the ruthless way Whitfield's men are planning to strike, the utter lack of mercy they've driven him to switch sides. He comes bearing a warning. The attack isn't days away. It's hours. But that isn't the worst part. The traitor is among them. A ripple spreads through the camp, a quiet dread that grips every man and woman on the ranch. The realization is like poison, slowly seeping into their thoughts, twisting everything into suspicion and doubt. No one is above questioning. Could it be one of the ranch hands, bribed into betrayal? One of the men was hired in desperation when the war against Whitfield drained their numbers. Or could it be someone closer, someone with the Dutton name? Kara feels it in her bones. This isn't just some hired hand looking for a payday. No, this betrayal is deeper, more personal. Someone has sold them out not just for money, but for revenge. And then the truth comes crashing down like a thunderclap. It's someone they trusted, someone they broke bread with, fought alongside, considered family. The revelation is so shocking that for a moment, silence grips the entire ranch. The accusations hang heavy in the cold Montana air, disbelief mingling with the undeniable truth. When Jacob finally speaks, his voice is not that of a man betrayed. It's that of a man ready to pass judgment. But the traitor is not just standing alone in guilt. No, he has his own story, his own reasons twisted and painful. He speaks of injustice, of being cast aside, of suffering in the shadows while the Duttons fought their noble war. He speaks of debts unpaid, of promises broken. For a fleeting moment, some of the men hesitate. Could there be truth in his words? Could the Duttons, for all their pride and honor, have created their own enemy? Spencer isn't interested in philosophy or justifications. He's killed men for less. His hand is on his gun before anyone else can move, but Jacob raises a hand to stop him. There's a moment of terrifying stillness. The traitor stands there, knowing his fate has already been decided. He could run, but there's nowhere to go. He could fight, but he'd never make it out alive. Then, as if accepting the weight of his own actions, he speaks his final words, a warning, a taunt, a twisted farewell. "It's already too late," he whispers. And then, in one quick motion, he goes for his weapon. The gunshot rings out across the ranch. He falls, his life slipping away into the dirt he once called home. The silence that follows is heavier than any gunfire. The Duttons have won this battle, but the war is far from over. If anything, this moment has only sealed their fate. Whitfield will know that his inside man is dead. He will know that the Duttons are prepared. And he will make sure that when his men come, they leave no one alive. As the body is dragged away, as the blood soaks into the cold ground, as the weight of another loss settles onto their shoulders, a single thought lingers in every mind at the ranch. This was only the beginning. The tension in the air is suffocating, thick like the smoke from a fire that refuses to die. Every man, every woman on the Yellowstone knows what's coming. There's no more guessing, no more strategizing over the unknown. The enemy is moving, and they're coming for blood. The betrayal from within has cost the Duttons dearly valuable time lost, trust shattered, the uneasy realization that even those closest to them can't always be counted on. But there's no room for hesitation now. The fight is no longer a question of if or when. It's here. The first sign is the distant sound of hoofbeats, barely audible over the howling Montana wind. Then, the flicker of torches in the distance, moving like ghosts through the trees. Jacob stands at the front of the ranch, his weathered face carved with the knowledge that this could very well be his last night on the land he's fought so hard to keep. But if he's afraid, he doesn't show it. Beside him, Spencer watches the approaching figures with an eerie calm, his instincts sharpened by years of war. There is no retreat, no surrender. They will stand and they will fight. The first shot shatters the silence. And then the night explodes into chaos. The ranch, usually so still in the moonlight, becomes a battlefield. Bullets rip through the air. Wood splinters as the Duttons and their men take cover, returning fire with deadly precision. Shadows move in the dark, the enemy closing in from all sides. The attack isn't reckless. It's calculated, precise, like they've mapped out every weak spot, every blind corner. The traitor's information is being used against them in real time. It's a brutal advantage, one that puts the Duttons at a deadly disadvantage. Spencer is the first to break from cover, moving through the battlefield like a ghost, his rifle steady, his shots finding their marks with terrifying accuracy. He's been in worse situations, seen the faces of men who know they're about to die. And tonight, he's determined to make sure it's the enemy who feels that fear. But even he can see the odds stacking against them. For every man they drop, more emerge from the shadows. Whitfield has sent his best. And they're not just here to take the land. They're here to erase the Dutton name from history. Inside the ranch house, Kara moves quickly, her mind a flurry of calculated decisions. She's seen war before, lived through the horrors of watching good men fall. Her hands don't tremble as she loads the shotgun, her heart steady as she braces for the possibility that the walls around her won't be enough to keep death at bay. She's ready to defend her home, to protect what's left of her family. But deep down, she knows this isn't a battle they were ever meant to win. It's a war of attrition, and Whitfield has the numbers. The gates collapse under the force of riders storming through, and suddenly, the fight is no longer at a distance. It's up close, brutal, hand to hand. Knives flash in the darkness, fists meet flesh, the grunts and cries of wounded men filling the air. Jacob, despite his years, fights like a man who has nothing left to lose. Every swing of his rifle, every bullet he fires, is a defiant stand against the inevitable. He knows the cost of losing, and he refuses to pay it. Then, amidst the chaos, a scream cuts through the night, a raw, agonized sound that stops hearts cold. One of their own has fallen. A name is shouted, but it's lost in the madness, drowned by gunfire and the relentless roar of destruction. The loss is a hammer blow, sending shockwaves through the defenders. For a moment, just a moment, hesitation flickers in their movements, the crushing reality of what's happening sinking in. But hesitation gets men killed. Spencer sees the break in their defenses, the way the enemy surges forward, sensing victory within reach. With a primal fury, he charges ahead, his gun empty, his fists the only weapons he has left. He doesn't fight like a man trying to survive, he fights like a man ready to take as many of them down with him as possible. And in that rage, that unrelenting force of will, something shifts. The attackers, despite their numbers, falter. They've underestimated him, underestimated the Duttons. But even as they push back, even as they force their enemies to retreat into the darkness, there's no time to celebrate. The ranch is in ruins. Bodies litter the ground, and the cost of this fight is far from over. Whitfield may have pulled back for now, but he won't stop, not until he's won, Not until every last Dutton is buried in the dirt they fought so hard to keep. As the first light of dawn begins to creep over the horizon, casting its dim glow over the battlefield that was once their home, the truth settles over them like a heavy weight. This war isn't over. It's only just begun. The silence after the battle is deafening. The once proud Yellowstone Ranch, a sanctuary built with grit and sacrifice, now stands as a scarred battleground. Smoke curls from burning outposts, wooden fences splintered, fields trampled under the weight of violence. The air is thick with the scent of gunpowder, blood, and something even heavier loss. The sun rises reluctantly, casting its pale light on the destruction as if hesitant to reveal the full extent of the devastation. Jacob Dutton stands amidst the wreckage, his body battered but unbroken. His hands shake not from fear, but from the weight of the night's bloodshed. He has fought many battles in his lifetime, but this one was different. This one struck at the very soul of his family. He watches as the remaining ranch hands move through the ruins, gathering their dead, tending to the wounded, their faces etched with exhaustion and grief. Each loss cuts deep. These were not just workers, not just hired men. They were kin, bound by loyalty to the land and to each other. Spencer, blood-stained, his shirt torn, his hands still trembling with the fury that had driven him through the fight, breathes heavily as he kneels beside a fallen comrade. He has seen war, faced death in its many cruel forms. But this is personal. He clenches his fists, his heart hammering against his ribs. The enemy may have retreated, but they are far from defeated. This was just the opening strike, a message delivered in blood, a warning that the worst is still to come. Inside the ranch house, Kara moves with quiet determination, her face a mask of composure despite the horror surrounding her. She moves from room to room, checking on the injured, bandaging wounds, offering words of comfort where she can. But even as she works, she knows the truth. This battle has cost them more than just bodies. It has shattered their sense of security, ripped away the last illusion that they were untouchable. Whitfield has made his intentions clear. He will not stop until the Dutton name is erased from Montana. The betrayal lingers like a festering wound. Somewhere, hidden among the chaos, the traitor still walks free, their hands stained with the blood of those who trusted them. Jacob's mind races, sifting through every conversation, every suspicious glance, trying to piece together who among them had turned. The knowledge that someone had fed their enemy the very details they needed to attack cuts deeper than any wound. Any bullet wound he knows he cannot move forward without rooting out the snake in their midst. But how do you fight an enemy who hides among your own? As they bury their dead, the mood among the Duttons and their allies is grim. The graves are shallow, dug hastily. Their only comfort is a few murmured prayers as they lower their fallen into the earth. There is no time for proper mourning, no time to grieve. The enemy is regrouping, and the Duttons must do the same. Every second wasted brings Whitfield closer to his goal. Then comes the next blow, not from an enemy's bullet, but from the LW riders approaching in the distance. Not Whitfield's men, but something just as dangerous men bearing the weight of legal authority. The sheriff dismounts, his expression unreadable, as he surveys the wreckage. There are too many bodies, too much blood, and no easy way to explain what happened here. Perhaps that's the point. Whitfield doesn't just want the Duttons broken by force, he wants them buried under the weight of the law itself. Jacob and Spencer exchange a look, both realizing the trap closing around them. If the law turns against them, if they are branded as criminals instead of victims, they will lose more than just land. They will lose everything. The sheriff steps forward, his voice calm but firm as he delivers the news. There will be an investigation. The violence, the deaths, the destruction, someone will have to answer for it. If the Duttons can't prove their innocence, If they can't convince the law that this was defense and not revenge, then the war will end not with a gunfight, but with Jacob and Spencer swinging from a rope. If they aren't careful, they won't just lose the ranch, they'll lose their freedom. Kara steps forward, her voice steady as she speaks to the sheriff. She knows the power of words, of diplomacy, of appearing calm when everything is on the verge of collapse. "What do you hope to find here, Sheriff?" she asks, her tone even, unshaken. The sheriff doesn't meet her gaze, focusing instead on his men as they move through the house, touching everything, cataloging their lives like evidence in a trial not yet begun. "Just doing my job, Mom. Too many bodies here for it to be simple self-defense." Someone's got to answer for this. Kara watches as Jacob's jaw tightens, his fists clenching at his sides. They cannot afford this, not now, not when they are already on the brink of collapse. But she also knows that fighting Whitfield means fighting him on every front, not just with guns, but with words, with strategy, with careful, calculated moves. As the sheriff's men spread out, gathering evidence and questioning the survivors, she steps forward, her voice steady, her mind already working through every possible way to turn the situation in their favor. The storm has not passed, it has only changed form. Now, the Duttons must fight, not just for survival, but for their very freedom. And with the traitor still lurking in the shadows, waiting for their next chance to strike, they know one thing for certain: the battle for Yellowstone is far from over. The war has only just begun. The sun sets over the Montana plains, casting an eerie glow over the broken land. The once proud Yellowstone ranch now resembles a battlefield, its fences shattered, its buildings scarred with bullet holes, and its people drained of all but the will to fight. But as the night deepens, the Duttons face an enemy more insidious than gunfire, a system bent on crushing them under the weight of the law. Jacob Dutton stands at the center of it all, his weathered face hardened by decades of struggle. He has fought rustlers, outlaws, and even nature itself, but never has he felt the grip of power tightening around his throat quite like this. The sheriff's men comb through the ranch, taking notes, measuring bodies, collecting bullet casings like puzzle pieces meant to construct a story. But Jacob knows the story they're looking for isn't the truth, it's the one Whitfield has paid for, the one that turns the Duttons into outlaws and their land into a crime scene. The implication is clear: it won't be Whitfield. It won't be the hired guns who stormed the ranch under his orders. It will be the Duttons, the ones who fought to defend their home. The sheriff doesn't have to say it outright. The outcome is already being written, not with ink, but with whispers in back rooms where justice is measured in dollars and land deeds. Inside the house, Jack Dutton watches from the window, his fingers twitching with barely restrained fury. His father and uncle stand firm outside, but he knows what's coming. The law doesn't need the truth, it needs a scapegoat. And if his family doesn't act quickly, that scapegoat will be them. Night falls, and the sheriff's men continue their work. Finally, they leave with their saddlebags heavier with so-called evidence, but the damage is done. By morning, the news will spread: the Duttons are not victims, they are murderers, land thieves, criminals. The narrative is being spun even before they have a chance to defend themselves. But Jacob is not a man who bows easily. He gathers his family in the main room, his gaze sweeping over them, his voice calm but unyielding. "They're coming for us," he says. Not with guns this time, but with laws written by men who don't care if we live or die. We don't get to sit back and wait for justice to find us. We have to take it. Spencer nods, his hands tightening into fists. "We need to find the traitor," he says. "Someone inside this ranch gave them everything they needed. We need to know who." The silence that follows is thick with tension. No one wants to say it, but they all know it's true. Whitfield's attack was too precise, too calculated. Someone betrayed them, and that someone is still breathing the same air as them, still eating at their table, still pretending to be one of them. Kara, ever the strategist, speaks next. We also need allies. The courts won't help us, but there are people who still believe in the old ways. If Whitfield thinks he can turn the law against us, then we need to turn the people against him. It's a dangerous plan, but it's the only one they have. The Duttons may not have the money or influence Whitfield wields, but they have something just as powerful: loyalty, history, and a land that does not yield to those who don't belong to it. Jacob looks around the room at his family, his people, the ones still standing despite the hell they've been through. We hold the line, he says. We fight back, and we do not let them take what's ours. The battle is far from over. The bullets may have stopped flying, but the war for Yellowstone is just beginning. And the Duttons are ready for what comes next. The morning sun rises over the battered Yellowstone ranch, but it does not bring peace. It casts long shadows across the blood-stained earth, illuminating the wreckage left behind by Whitfield's men. Every broken fence, every bullet-riddled post, every scorch mark on the land tells a story of the war that has come to the Duttons' doorstep. But as the dust settles, a new battle begins, one fought not with guns, but with deception, strategy, and the sheer will to survive. Jacob Dutton stands at the heart of the ranch, his gaze hardened by years of struggle, his body weary but unbowed. He has weathered storms before, but this time the storm is different. It is not just about land, it is about survival. The attack was meant to break them, to leave them weak, desperate, and without options. But Whitfield made a mistake. He underestimated just how far a Dutton will go to protect what is theirs. Inside the house, Kara tirelessly writes letters, sending word to every ally they have left. If the courts cannot be trusted, then the people must be rallied. She knows that fear can be a weapon just as powerful as any bullet, and the people of Montana fear Whitfield's unchecked power. The landowners, the ranchers, the small town folk, each of them has something to lose if the Duttons fall. She does not beg for help. She reminds them of the truth. If the Duttons lose Yellowstone, no one's land is safe. Spencer prepares in his own way. He sharpens his knives, cleans his rifle, and waits. He has always been a man of action, a warrior forged in battle. But this war is unlike any he has ever faced. The enemy is not standing across a battlefield. He is hidden in the dark corners of power, pulling strings that reach into places even Spencer cannot touch. But that does not mean he is untouchable. Every man has a weakness, and Spencer is determined to find Whitfield's. Jack Dutton rides out, heading straight for town. He knows Whitfield's influence is spreading, poisoning the law, corrupting those who were once neutral. But there are still men who remember a time before money ruled everything. He seeks them out: the old lawmen, the retired marshals, the men who built Montana with their own hands. He does not ask for favors. He asks for justice. Some refuse, fearing the weight of Whitfield's wrath. But others listen,